How are we, ladies and gentlemen, listeners? Welcome to the Leg Up Australia podcast.
1, 2, 3. Can he do it? The gloves are off. They go toe to toe, blow for blow. He's clear. His big heart pounding. Yes. There's history. The Tigers make 3 in a row.
Hello, punters. Welcome back to another episode of the Leg Up podcast, the original Leg Up podcast. We're back. Joining me, as always, Blake Johnston and Adam Campton. Campo, you're a raging success in the podcast debut last week, according to the TikTok views. So good to have you back, mate.
Glad someone watched other than my mum, so no, it's good.
What was the feedback from mum? Only Trish.
Just great, as per usual, you know.
She listened?
No, a few people listened. They said it was good. They enjoyed it. So
I saw your man ZP shared the post.
Did he?
Yeah,
That's
he
good.
did.
Maybe share it because I wore his jacket.
Yeah.
He's probably looking for people to buy
this
them.
week.
Yeah, no, it's a bit covered in dirt. So no, it's good. Good to be back.
Good to be back. How's Deeple? He had a bit of a track work go up this morning, I saw.
Yep. No, Tuesday he had a little bit of a spin around. He'll have a harder hit out on Saturday leading into Wednesday's race. He's great. Personally, as I said last week, he's probably, ticking along perfectly at the moment. Just got to get to Wednesday now, and can't wait to sort of the fields are out today. We'll know a bit more, and then obviously acceptances early next week. So hopefully he can draw a barrier, and then it's up to Kyle. Other than that,
Well, I just heard you on the phone and you haven't been drawing any good ones, so maybe you're saving it for a morning day.
yeah. When I first started training, I remember it was horrific the barriers I got. I reckon for like 20 of them I drew like out, and I had luck, which was good, but.
It's a visitor's draw. That's because you're
you
from
get the
Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's right, bloke. No, but you definitely barriers win races, so hopefully you can draw well.
Where would you like to draw? All right. Ideal scenario.
To be fair, it doesn't really concern me with a horse like him. As you can see, you get back, relax, and he's got somebody to track him. But against better horses, you probably can't give him as big a start. So, I don't know, 3, 4.
That's
5.
right. Because you don't what's the field size going to be like? It'll be
Probably like 18 or
15,
something.
Yeah,
like
I reckon
that,
it'd be pretty big.
Yeah.
You don't want to draw 16. You don't want to go back to last.
No.
You got to, even if you do draw 16, you still want to give him you don't want to be too negative out of the gates. Like, you still want to be within that striking band.
Never
Because
know,
if
Blakey,
you
we might
last-
lead on him.
Yeah, maybe.
No, but good horses can get beat in those races, and it's obviously something in the back of our mind. But he's got to get there and 100% first, draw a barrier, and hopefully they go hard up front, and he can tack on before the turn and let rip like he does.
We need a couple of things to happen. We need him to draw a gate.
Yep.
We need him to get there in order.
Yep.
And we need the bookies to miss him.
That's more than a couple.
3. $26.
Yeah, that would be great.
What is his handicap rating? Like, is he you're not worried that he's going to get balloted out at all? Like,
Of course, that's in the back of my mind, but everyone I've spoken to sort of have said he should definitely get a run.
Yeah.
Over the last few years, obviously, it's proven that there's a couple of other horses that I know are going to the race that are below him. So, we'll obviously know more in a couple of hours' time.
Yep.
But yeah, he's going well, and he's a bit of a, as I said last week, he's a bit of a different beast this prep. I think he knows he's sort of going good. He's feeling well, and he's glowing, and he's ready to rock and roll.
So do you know what his handicap rating is?
88.
Oh, he should get in.
Yep.
He should get in because Bjorn was thinking about
Iona
Iona
Merck.
Merck,
Correct.
who's like a 78.
Yeah.
So he'd probably have to win this weekend or something like that to get him into the field. But
It'd be a quick
yeah,
backup
I
too,
think
then,
he
wouldn't it?
should.
It'd be like 4 days for
Yeah.
Iona Merck to
I don't think that.
No.
But that was the
Yeah.
plan if he won
last start.
last start
Yeah.
when he should have won.
Wouldn't be bad if it fell away. So
Yeah.
no, it's good. It's exciting. I'm excited to see him race against some better horses. So it'll be a good race.
BJ, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, getting a little bit more luck the last couple of days on the punt. Omni-Man was good. On
Yeah, it was
Wednesday.
good. It was good. It was good because Hildo was.
He was.
Hildo was giving it to me for tipping against. In Hildo's eyes, I have to tip every one of Bjorn's horses that is in the market.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Especially if they're $1.85.
Does he let you know if they win?
He does. He definitely
It's the
lets me
first
know.
one in the crew chat after
Yep.
a Bjorn winner.
But it was nice.
The recently engaged Hildo.
Yeah, Hildo's going all right. He's landed on his feet. Hildo.
Yeah. Good Sheila, great Sheila actually. She's a lovely girl.
Yeah, very good. She's
King.
we might have a wedding in the UK next year, so
We may.
better free up your calendar. You too, Nick.
Boom.
I'll
Well, Ascot.
make sure you're on the list.
Yeah.
make sure.
D4 keeps winning. We could take him to Royal Ascot.
That's right. Well, I think
Well, they just showed. I was about to sort of throw that idea out there about D4 because I was sitting here earlier and watching Sky Central, and they showed sort of like feature race wins, like blast from the past, and the race they showed was I think the 2004 Ramornie, which Takeover Target won, and of course he went on to Royal Ascot. So I was going to say, mate, Ramornie winners, great form, yeah.
Great form race.
See Deeper in the King's Stand next year, hey?
Yeah, well, I can't wait. That'll be good. Like, I think the plan is a couple of weeks before King's Stand or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, UK good. Wedding.
Yeah,
2 champion people.
You've been to the UK.
I have.
You put on the cleats on the football field over there.
Well, I like to think so. That's how I remember it anyway. I don't know about that, but yeah, like it'll be good. I don't know if it'll be easy for me to get away, but do my best.
You could do a week of Ascot form.
Yeah, that's right.
Strategy tips.
That's right.
Live from Royal Ascot.
Yep, do some trainer jockey
Coventry
interviews.
with 35 runners. It'd be great to do form.
the national hunt, or so, what do they call it?
Yeah, stuff that Australia doesn't bet on.
Yeah, not too many horses in the race.
Yeah.
Not
Did
24.
you know that, Campo?
Yeah, I do remember that back at my
That's why they don't have that's why they don't have emergencies in the Melbourne Cup.
Melbourne Cup
Because the tab can only cater for 24 horses.
lift your game.
You'd think they'd sort that out by now. That's been the excuse since we started.
You would think that, but I'll leave that up to their capable hands.
Yeah, that's a good talking topic. Not planned, but Melbourne Cup, right? You just said the same thing. Like, they don't have emergencies in it. It's our most famous race. No emergencies. Should there be? Like, we've got all these new rules, these vet rules and stuff. We've seen horses scratched on the eve and, scratched a couple of days before because of these new vet rules. And you've got horses that are fully fit that miss out by one because they ran 5th in a Caulfield Cup or something. Yeah. Like, is that something that we sort of need to adapt and change going into... We're 2023 now.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like... It's everybody in Australia as a owner. I haven't owned many horses, but it would be my dream to have a runner in a Melbourne Cup. Yeah. So if you land 25th, it's disappointing. And the morning of, there's always one that comes out of the field. So like you're fulfilling somebody like to the disappointment of one owner not having a runner in a Melbourne Cup. You're fulfilling somebody else's dream, and that's always good for racing, in my opinion.
More horses, more turnover.
That's right.
Exactly. It's a kick in the guts if you've organised office sweeps as well and you end up with only 22.
Especially, there's usually 1 or 2 horses that will be right in the market that miss out.
Yeah.
So definitely
those sort of horses that
Who's
try
your
to win.
favourite Melbourne Cup winner of all time?
I don't know. That's a difficult question.
Someone asked me that the other day, actually.
I'd say shocking because I got the first 4.
Bit of pocket talk.
C. Brown.
Yeah.
Sat 8 wide on it. It kept coming.
Yeah. He just
What
kept
did he beat
the
that
horse in
Godolphin
a
horse,
comfortable
Crime
spot.
Scene?
Yeah, crime scene. The first 4 paid 80,000.
I said
Didn't get a
Media
hold of
Puzzle.
it.
3 times.
Media Puzzle. That was
Just because of the story.
Media Puzzle was I think Media Puzzle was just about the greatest sporting moment that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd
So, yeah.
easily have
Remember Ollie had like the Oakley...
I used to wear the Oakley
They were like,
goggles.
they were like glasses.
Yeah. So, for those that don't know, Damien lost his brother Jason in a fall that week.
Yep.
Yeah.
He didn't ride on Derby Day.
No.
And then he fulfilled his engagement on Media Puzzle. on
Every time,
Melbourne
I
Cup
still get
Day.
goosebumps now.
Yeah.
Like, his mentality to go into that race and ride that horse the way he did.
And he wore Jason's silks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the call was Damien riding in the spirit of Jason.
Jason, yeah.
You get goosebumps as soon as he goes up and does that big salute. Like,
And
that's
he looks at the heaven after the post that's one of the greatest stories.
best moments. Yeah.
I can't think of a better story. Even that's up there with like Freeman winning the 400 at the Olympics, which is But there's not the story behind that. But like that was just the weight of the nation was on her shoulders.
Yeah.
That was a Might and Power too, looking up for that. But no,
Might and Power was the champ. There was Doremus.
Yeah, didn't he?
Because Hawley went up,
Saluted,
I think.
Yeah, he did.
So that he beat Doremus the year
that'd be
before or
horrible
something.
to do as a job. It would be a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one ever said anything. The year that Michael Walker rode Prince of Iran, ran third. I don't know if he was just like at the end of a 2 mile race, like you sort of need to get the blood pumping and sort of stand up a little bit. But I still reckon there's a bit of a shot as they go around. He's standing up in the irons, and I'm like,
yeah, I think he's
thought he's won there.
Yeah,
I think it was the year Vow and Declare one, which would probably be my favourite Cup win, just for the pocket talk, was just kept backing him months out. But
yeah, I was on surprise maybe that year he should have won. So that was definitely not my favourite year. But Mine Power was a great horse. Like he won in a calendar year. Well, he won the Caulfield Cup, he won the Melbourne Cup, and then he come back the year later and won the Cox Plate.
Just tough as nails. Tough.
And he won that Caulfield Cup by about 8 lengths or something.
Yeah.
In it for like, as a trainer now, you're just like those kind of horses like mine, but you're just tough horses that you just respect. They just show up, do their job, easy to train.
We probably haven't really had one like him since, like, the only, I reckon, like, sort of smaller scale comparison, and we didn't really get to see the best of him, I don't think, was Incentivised, the way that that spring of 2021, like he just kept going from strength to strength and did a tendon in a Melbourne Cup and still ran second. Like, it sort of a case of what could have been and how good could he have been if he had
been a champion for sure.
Yeah.
So he's still a very good horse.
You'd love to have a horse like him.
It's a very good horse. Nick and I were talking the other day about Derby horses, VRC Derby horses, because it's a lot of VRC Derby winners don't come back.
I remember we used to have this argument as a kid.
What's the argument?
I always used to say, like, if I ever became a trainer, you'd want to run it. Want to run the horse. Obviously, the prize money and all that, Group 1. But I used to think, they got so much more. If it takes so much out of them as a young horse, they're still developing.
I definitely agree with that. I think a lot of people probably choose. They're in a field in the Derby, so let's just run the horse instead of probably looking at the bigger picture down the track and thinking, if we do give this horse time, he could be a better horse next preparation. But it's a big carrot to dangle in front of you when you've got a good stay over a trip for a young horse. But yeah, I think it's tough. So you're a young trainer. Let's say you have a horse that he's a good 3-year-old.
Yep.
And you go on to a Derby with him. And Victoria Derby, and he wins the Derby. He's a good horse. He's not. You don't think he's going to be Might and Power.
Yep.
Do you go on to the Melbourne Cup?
Oh, you'd obviously.
See,
it's hard as well because your owners obviously have a fair say. Don't know. You'd probably wait for the call from Hong Kong and sell it, but it depends how good it is. It's hard to say, mate. Some young horses are so untapped, but you always got to wait to see how they pull up after the race.
Because we chatted the other day about like it was like a guess this horse, and it was Nothing Like a Dane, and Gay backed him up in the Melbourne Cup.
Yep.
And he ran second. I think like.
I would, but you look at a horse I reckon the perfect example, Johnny Get Angry, in that spring. Like, he was a maiden and going into the Derby. Ran some good races, but that 2,500 at Flemington was just what he was crying out for. I reckon he would have been the perfect horse. I don't think he would have won a Melbourne Cup, and it would have almost been a stain on the Melbourne Cup if he did, but he never came back up, never won another race. He would have been that there and now 3-year-old staying type, just one batter I think could have gone to a Melbourne Cup.
It takes a lot out of an old sound horse that's done it, time and time again. Except like a young horse is still developing at that age. So
the perfect example, I don't think he could have won a Melbourne Cup.
No, I don't either.
The perfect example would have been that horse that Huey won the Derby on. It was a wet track and he bolted.
Polanski?
Lions Roar?
No.
Lion Tamer.
Lion Tamer.
Yeah.
He stood up in the irons with about 50 to go.
Yeah.
He could have won that Melbourne Cup.
Yeah.
Like if they backed him up. And I don't think he might. I don't think he won another Group 1. Maybe he did. I'm not sure.
He was a Kiwi, wasn't he?
He was a pretty good horse, but
He gave the big angry fist pump here with that day.
That's the sort of horse that like you're gonna get a wet track on that Tuesday.
Yeah.
You've got a horse that's probably not a gut buster because he's won by
12.
6. It's a tough run because it's just a Derby on a wet track. But
He was never
wet track
gonna get beat
horses
in
to
that.
wet track is a great formula for success, like
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the quick backup. So,
Yeah.
like I reckon he's the sort of horse that would have been perfect for that backup.
There's been some good horses that have won derbies far out. There's been some great horses. So,
Yeah.
yeah. At the end of the day, owners do have a big say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it's up
actually
to
I saw Matt Stewart. I think it was Matt Stewart. He put a tweet out asking punters for he was doing an article and wanted to sort of get a bit of an idea on who are some of the most versatile thoroughbreds in racing, and of course sort of Mahogany, he was one to come to mind. But I was just thinking then about Derby winners, like a horse like Criterion. He was just I don't think he won the Victoria Derby, but didn't back up in the Cup. He did run second in a Cup eventually, but he would have been another probably good example of.
He raced all over the world too.
Yeah.
Tough as nails.
Did he win in
Criterion
Hong
was a good
Kong?
horse.
I know he definitely went there, maybe to a vase.
Yeah, I don't think
I reckon he
won.
ran
I reckon he ran well.
he ran a placing.
Yeah. And then I think they went to maybe Royal Ascot or one of those big races over there too with him.
You know, he's a real good horse. Yellow colours.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
David
Owen
Payne?
Lane.
I reckon it was.
Was it?
No, sorry, and then David Hayes.
I thought
Did
Hayes.
Hayes get him?
Yeah, I thought Hayes had him, but it could have
David
started
Hayes.
with David Payne.
David Hayes, yeah.
I don't know why. I thought David Payne might have had him first.
But boys, few sort of talking points in the news this week. Speaking of Kiwis, young gun apprentice Wiremu Pinn, he'd sort of taken the Melbourne riding ranks by storm since he came over. He was a 2 kilo claiming apprentice in New Zealand. Somehow he's managed to come over to Melbourne and he's riding with the 3 kilo claim. He rode 29 winners in his first month or so in the saddle in Melbourne, and then Racing Victoria stewards have sort of caught on to the fact that, hang on, he's only a 2 kilo claimer in New Zealand, so they've gone back, they've bumped his claim back to the 2 kilos, and then they've had a little bit more of a look, and they've ended up disqualifying those 29 horses from winning the races. It's a kick in the teeth for a few people, but it's also, I think it works in the horse's favour that did win. Blake, you sort of quick to point out after that news sort of broke, well, hang on, the owners don't have to pay back prize money. Everything else in the field gets more prize money, and plus the horses that won, they actually get to stay at that level, whether it be a maiden or a class 6 or a benchmark 70, they get to keep that rating and have another bite of the cherry and try and win again. Is it that bad that they were disqualified? It's the steward's fault for sure.
Yeah, I actually think that they made the right decision, disqualifying the horses, because the second and third place horses were disadvantaged. The fact that the owners get to keep the prize money, they get to compete at that same level again, is a fill up for them. What about, Pinn doesn't get paid? Would that
Well, that's
be
what I'm not sure. That was the only thing I didn't notice.
What about breeding? Does it show up in the breeding book that they've had a winner?
I wouldn't think so.
Like mares and stuff?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's a big negative.
That's definitely like a Metro winner, or
Yeah.
she was a winner.
You know, it
et
could have
cetera,
been a
in the-
last
on the
race
pool.
or something like that. Too.
Yeah, that's I guess that would be the one
Loss.
loss to owners, but they do get another chance at
It's
it.
not-
They do
it
get
should-
another
it
bite
shouldn't
of the cherry.
happen. Like,
It shouldn't have happened. Like, it's
No.
obviously their fault, and they have. I guess they've copped. So they probably copped 60,000 per winner
Yeah.
on average.
Do you reckon the young fella knew?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
he would have had to have
No
known
doubt.
that he's. But at the same time,
He's got-
is it his
It's
is
not
it
his
his job to
responsibility.
come
It's
over
not
and
his
go,
responsibility.
hi Victoria, I'm a 2 kilo claiming apprentice. Like, don't
Definitely not. It's not his responsibility, and it's like if you've got a penalty on the footy field, you're not going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
And by the way,
Yeah.
he didn't actually rake that.
The Broncos would.
Well, apparently with the cricket, it's a
Jeez,
That's a whole
that's a tough subject at the moment.
the cricket.
it's a gentleman's sport. But you would have
He's out.
Yeah,
Stay in your crease.
Yeah.
stay in your crease, you bloody pommy bastard.
Yeah, stop whinging.
That's right.
How about you try and win a game first before you start whinging against everyone?
It's the classic. If they had a won by a run, no, they wouldn't have cared.
That was your. Remember indoor?
What?
Remember you used to be able to pretend to bowl and then flick the stumps.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
the
That was
man,
the greatest.
the man card.
Yeah. You
You're
used to do it all the
a
time.
fan of the man card.
I
eh?
used to do it all the time.
I don't reckon I ever did
You
that. but-
were huge on that.
Oh, I just used to bowl them. I'd actually like to play indoor cricket again. I think that was fun.
I played one.
Have
We played
balls
one
flying
comp
at your
last
head.
season, and we won it, which was I don't know why we didn't go back to them, but yeah, it's good fun.
We should play like the touch footy side that you played in. When
Yeah.
Campo turned up to one game.
It's great. Let's play touch football at 9:30 at night.
Oh, some games were at 6:30. I know.
I'll tell you one thing. I pulled up sore after it.
I know. We went all right. No, we didn't go very well. We were going better at the end of the season, so you would have liked it more. I tell you, I was playing good footy by the end of the season. I was just playing by myself, though.
Yeah, you probably sore shoulders from carrying everyone. Got off topic there.
But yeah, it's definitely not his responsibility.
Can ride the kid.
Can ride, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't watch too much Melbourne racing, but it seems.
I don't know him as a person or anything, but he's got the world at his feet, and it's up to him now to see how far he wants to go. That's what I believe with all those apprentices. It's up to them if they want to be smart with their money and smart with the rest of their life. They've got the world at their feet. Some of those kids that, like he'll just continue to ride winner after winner. And there's an opportunity, same up here. If there's young kids coming through the ranks up here, you can earn a very good living.
You
Aren't you on the record for saying Kyle Wilson-Taylor's better than Zach Purden?
I didn't say that. No, I do believe Kyle has the world at his feet as well. He's a great young rider, and he's got that attitude that'll take him a long way. But he's a good kid, I think. Zach probably rubbed a few people the wrong way when he was younger, but has grown up a lot, obviously, in Hong Kong, and he's a very professional rider. But I do believe Kyle. There's something about Kyle. He's a young rider on the rise, and a very balanced rider as well, and very smart.
I don't know what show I was watching, but it might have been like the racing review show with Brownie and that. But I heard like somebody compared him to. Somebody called somebody. This is a long-winded story.
Yep.
But early days compared Kyle Wilson-Taylor to Zach Purden. So
really?
is that
Yeah.
something that's been made in the past?
Maybe it might be, yeah. But even looking at him, he looks similar to
He looks a bit like him, doesn't
yeah,
he?
he's got that similar sort of schnoz. Just
So you're saying Zach's sort of...
Yeah, he doesn't have the best nose. No, he's they're mannerisms and
I think the work ethic as well. I spoke to him over I had a quick chat to him during trials at Doomben on Tuesday morning, and I said, oh, good job on the Group 1. I said, how did you celebrate? And he said, oh no, we went out for dinner and I had to ride at Murwillumbah on the Sunday. Like, young kid, apprentice, ride your first Group 1 winner. Like, there'd be some jockeys that would be out until 5 a.m. and call up and say, hey, I can't ride tomorrow, but he's there, ride a winner in the first at Murwillumbah.
some kids that ride a maiden and orange won't show up the next day. Like. And I actually rode my horse the next day, Marley Doon, and he rode an absolute treat. And I rang him that night. I said, "Am I meant to be looking for a new rider tomorrow?" And he's like, "No, I'll be there." And that's those sacrifices are what make you into the champion jockey that he will become. So
When's it in? Because it was a good run. I messaged you.
it was a good run, but she needs to stick her head out now, Blake, because I ran a number of placings. But no, it was good. She's drawn well at Bow Desert on Saturday. She could go there or even Grafton on Sunday.
How far? Because that was 1,000, hey, and she was
Yep.
back in trip.
Yeah, 1,200.
Oh, yeah, better.
She used to be with O'Day and Hoysted, didn't she? She
Yep.
trialled really well. I can remember I backed her in her first start. She trialled really well, went to the Sunshine Coast, flashed home, and I was like, oh, she's a moral wherever she goes, and then just kept doing that. It's like, oh, baby, she's one of these horses that just...
When I got off Steve, I sort of went for all the form, and I was like, oh, I reckon she's a sprinter, and then she trialled real good for me, but I was watching her after the line. She was starting to pull the head back. She's a bit like a horse like ours of charge on. If they got someone to chase, they'll keep chasing. But once they hit the front, they think it's game over. But you just want to see him stick that head out. Yeah, she will. She's got the ability.
She moral beat him, or she should have won it. Where was the start before that? Warwick.
She copped a big bump and she
That's
kept
right.
trying all the way to the line. That's why she sort of had a spell. She sort of had a little bit of setback after that. But good owners too. Her owner's a beautiful lady, and she rings up all the time. Every time she gets beat, she goes, "Oh, Marley." It's like she just knows. But hopefully she can stick it out soon.
I'm sure you'll find the right race for her. Apprentices, have you had anything to do with Bailey Wheeler?
I have. Yep, had a fair bit to do with Bailey Wheeler. Good young rider, very talented. He's another one that's got the world at his feet. It's up to him to decide on how far he wants to go. But he's as good as an apprentice I think I've seen for a very long time.
Yeah, so he's got his first rides in Sydney this weekend.
Yep.
How old is he? Because I always thought he was quite young, and then I saw a photo of him, and I thought, fuck, he's built like a brick shithouse, and he looks like he's 35.
I think he's young.
19, maybe? 18, 19?
He's real sort of stocky, like,
Yeah, he's solid
looks
bugger.
strong, like...
Because when Hildo was managing Dylan, they were both endowed
Yeah.
to Chris Lees.
Chris Lees, yeah.
And apparently Dylan said that, like, early days, Bailey just was a natural, just
He is.
gifted. Absolutely gifted.
He's just one of those kids you just see get on a horse. He's like young Jace, who you guys met last week. Young kids either have it or they don't have it. And the ones that don't have it, they've got to work harder.
Yeah.
It's these other kids just, they're naturally gifted and they get on a horse and they gel with a horse. Bailey's a very good rider and he's got the world at his feet. He really does. And I don't know what the decision is to go to Sydney. Probably didn't have many rides coming up this weekend at Bowie or couldn't claim there and they've opted to go there. But he's flying up here and he will continue to do so.
Yeah, because I took an interest in him because of like what Hildo said about him, etc. Early days, and you know, some kids when they're 4 kilo claimers, they look like 4 kilo claimers.
Yeah.
Yep.
When Bailey started riding, he was
Like he's
pulling the whip
correct.
through
Left to right.
both
Yeah.
hands. Like he looked like a fully fledged jockey, and like it's no surprise to see him.
The last apprentice you sort of think about like was that who unfortunately didn't continue on with his career. But Taylor Lovelock Wiggins. Remember him as a young rider, just so gifted. And Jamie Cornelli was a great rider. He was a great young apprentice too.
There were plenty of...
Sebastian Murphy.
There's been plenty of very good apprentices not go on, and it's not because of their ability.
And that's what I mean. Like, it's up to, like, Wiremu Pinn. It's, you know, it's his decision on how far he wants to go. If you...
It was interesting. I was listening to Mark Newnham. Sky did a bit of a piece on him before he went to Hong Kong, and he said, you know, hands down, James McDonald is the best rider in the country. And he said, and at the moment, I feel like other jockeys in the room have just conceded the fact that J-Mac's the best and they're not going to catch him. And I thought that's pretty interesting. Like you've got, like you said, Campo, like there's so many good young riders coming through. You've got Zach Lloyd, who just airborne at the moment, Kyle, obviously, and it's sort of like, all right, these boys they can really take this next step and stamp themselves as a challenger to J-Mac in that Sydney jockeys room, but also like just nail down the fact that they'll be number 2 and, you know, really can get some good rides over the carnival, because outside of J-Mac, like in terms of the senior riders in Sydney, you don't have Tommy Berry there at the moment.
Yep.
Brenton's gone to... Huey's gone. So, like, there's a lot of the big guns are gone, and J-Mac really is just...
J-Mac was one of those kids. I remember when he came to Hawkesbury, remember, as a young fella, he came over and... Right, it was just like, wow, this kid can ride. Like I remember they were calling him the next Michael Walker and all that, and he's obviously gone on to be... the rider he is today, but he was just so gifted. And like Zach and them, Zach Lloyd's a freak. So's Dylan, but they're good kids too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have got the right people around them. They've got a great, like Darren, I'm tipping, would do a lot of work with Zach.
Definitely. They'll go on with the job, those guys.
Yeah.
They're just, they're good young kids. They're great, like they deserve the success. You know, there's jealous people who say, oh, you know, they've been gifted this and gifted that. They haven't. They've worked their butt off and they've got to where they deserve to be.
Don't you hate... I hate the argument, like, when you do a James McDonald post, like, James is the best, etc., and people say, oh, he's only the best because he's on the best horses. I really dislike that argument because, like, he's worked his butt off and it's like the best... Like, he's rising to the top and he's only on the best horses because people want him to be on the best horses.
And J-Mac's setback that he had... Oh, it's probably been the best thing in the world for him.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
And it's made him a better rider. It's probably made him a better person, and he deserves all the success that comes his way. Watching J-Mac in a race, it's like he's just got it. He's just a beautiful rider. He's so balanced.
You don't often watch one that J-Mac's on and, like, if you've backed him and you're looking and you're going, oh, geez, like, we're in a bit of trouble here. Like, they're just always in that perfect spot.
Yep.
You rarely... Like, he got suspended a little while ago, but you rarely see him knock other horses down.
He's 1 or 2 steps ahead.
Yeah.
It's like in slow motion for him.
He can see it before it happens.
Yeah, it's just like...
Any good footballer, it's just it's easier for them.
Got time.
Yeah.
Same as Zach. Like, you watch him ride, it's just love the way they ride, and they've just got jockeys in front of them are making mistakes, but they're already realising the mistakes they're making, and they're off and gone.
Oh, it'll be great to see those two at some stage in their career to be in the same region and to fight out a premiership. Like,
Yep. I couldn't agree more.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it would be. Speaking of premierships, I think it's fair to say the Queensland Metro Premiership is wrapped up. Jimmy Orman, youngest rider in Queensland to notch up 100 Metro wins in a season yesterday at Eagle Farm. Jeff Lloyd and Chris Muntz, the two previous riders to win 100 in Queensland. So fairly big effort, but he's sort of done it with a month to go in the season. I don't think he's about the only jockey and one of the only jockeys in that room not to win a Group 1, which is sort of bizarre to say. But Campo, he's your brother-in-law, so only nice things to say about him, no doubt. But he is a champion bloke, and he's probably one guy that really will go on with it and probably be fighting out Hong Kong premierships in no time.
For sure. I could not say a bad word about Jimmy, and I'm not just saying that because he's my brother-in-law. He's a champion person. He's a great dad. He's a good husband. He's the real deal. He's a great rider. He's always been that very talented young rider. I remember when he was coming through in his apprentice, and I had a bit to do with him early days. And he's just always been a good kid. He's very dedicated. He obviously knows he's a taller boy and has to struggle with his weight. He will struggle. He's always struggled with his weight, but he's a great rider. And it actually baffles me that Hong Kong hasn't called him already. You know, Hong Kong needs to change to get better riders. You got to stop looking for these riders that have to ride a Group 1. There's so many good riders around the country that haven't won Group 1s.
Yeah.
You got to go and try and target the next Zach Burton. I'm not saying Jimmy's the next Zach Burton at all. I'm just saying try and find a rider, put your balls on the line and try and get that young kid and build them through Hong Kong. The thing that annoys me probably about Hong Kong is they give them a 3-month contract.
Yeah.
And then go back home.
Yeah.
Well, they've spent 3 months, so they've lost all their opportunity back in Australia. You need to sort of stick by them. Like Lyle Hewitson is the perfect example in Hong Kong. He failed and failed and failed. Could not ride a winner. Worked his complete ass off, and now he's ridden how many winners this season? He stuck it out, and they kept giving him an opportunity. Jimmy's the perfect example to go over there. I think it'll be Queensland's loss, but it'll be definitely Hong Kong's gain, and he's the perfect rider to go over to Hong Kong in time when he's ready, because he's not a big head. He's a humble bloke, and he works hard.
That's the other thing too, that he's probably sort of another sort of bit of credit to him for that premiership. Like, he rarely rides under 56 kilos too, so he's sort of limiting himself to a certain pool of horses. And you say, like, you know, Hong Kong only wanting to take Group 1 winning riders. That's only 8 Group 1s in a Brisbane season, and we only had one of them won by a Queensland horse this carnival. So those Sydney horses come up from the Sydney stables and they bring up the Sydney jockeys. So it's pretty hard for a local to win a Group 1 as it is, and even harder to get rides like someone like Jimmy, who can't go and ride in an Epsom at 50 kilos like a Ben Thompson can, or an Oakley Plate or something like that. So he's always going to struggle to get plum rides in those big Group 1s in Sydney.
I remember when he got taken off that Kukaracha.
Yeah.
That's
James
right.
Road.
I remember, of course he was disappointed.
Yeah.
But
same thing again this year with Kovalika. He won the Grand Prix and the Eagle Way on him, and then rode him in the Doomben Cup, and then of course J-Mac ended up on the saddle in the Derby.
Chris Wallace summed up perfect. In years to come, James Orman will be the James McDonald that gets on those horses.
Yeah.
So Jimmy's just got to bide his time. It probably plays in his head. I don't really know, but he's not a bloke that really worries him too much. But he'll ride plenty of Group 1s and it'll come. And he's a great talent. I love him as a rider. I wish he could ride everything.
Yes.
He's hard to get. Obviously, he's got the pick of the rides, and deservedly so. And his manager Glenn does a tremendous job with him, with Jimmy, and it's Chris Muntz and Jeff Lloyd are pretty good riders to do it this time of the season. Big pat on the back to Jimmy, and he deserves it.
Yeah. So what you're saying about Hong Kong taking jockeys that haven't won a Group 1, etc., etc. So would it be fair to say that Zach hadn't fulfilled his potential in Australia before he went to Hong Kong?
No way.
Had Zach won a jockey's premiership?
I think
he won
so.
in Queensland as an apprentice.
Yeah, he won in the Queen. Yeah, correct.
I think it's only maybe Zach, Michael Rodd, and Bailey Nodiff that have won a Queensland, like a Brisbane premiership as an apprentice. Yeah,
and it's actually, like, it's a good story when you sit down and talk to Zach about it. He was packing his bags to come home, like he was done with Hong Kong.
Yeah,
couldn't get an opportunity, could not get a ride, and he was thinking, like, I'm a good rider. He's a confident bugger. Why am I getting these rides? And that is Hong Kong. It's if you're down, you're down. If you're up, you're up. It's tough, and he stuck it out, thankfully, and now he's obviously who he is. But I just think they've got to change things over there to try and attract better riders, because I'm not saying all the riders over there, aren't great. I'm not saying at all, but, if you had, a few Zach Purtons and James McDonald, Huey over there, it'd be better to watch, in my opinion. I just think Zach's sort of far above them, so...
yeah, no doubt. Like, that's not any knock on Zach, but what I'm trying to get at is, like, when Zach went, I don't really remember, but Zach wasn't J Mac in Australia.
No
at the
way.
stage
Wouldn't
of
be
his
like
career
losing a
that
J
he
Mac.
went
No.
to
Yeah.
Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And he was a good great rider in Australia, but I feel like
He's gone to a
he
new
has
level.
completely fulfilled his potential in Hong Kong. Like J-Mac, I think that J-Mac has basically, he's still going to get better, but he has fulfilled his potential basically.
He's 30 and 160 or 70 Group 1s, isn't he?
Yeah, so like,
would you sort of compare like someone who's only just gone over, like a rider maybe like a Brendan Avdallah? Is that sort of the level that Zach would have been at before he went over? Or
I'd say Zach's better than him, like at that age, I think.
That age,
but Brendan's a good rider, but it's just the opportunities you get, and as I said with growing up, Zach definitely grew up when he was over there. He had to grow up.
Yeah.
He's got an incredible partner, Cole, who's his biggest supporter, and that's the reason why he is where he is. For a rider that's going there, you could go over there a mediocre rider, but it'll make you grow up pretty quickly, and you've got to, when you're riding against Zach and those sort of riders, you've got to obviously go to the next level. And he was over there. He was riding against like the riders over there at the time, like Sumion, Warshong Marwing, like they were incredible riders over there at the time. Dougie White was at the peak of his power. Like, he wasn't riding against sort of riders he's riding against today. So it definitely, that going over there made him 100 times better rider.
He, from memory, he's re-signed on there for another season.
Yep.
There was a bit of talk that he might be, after he won the Doncaster, he sort of alluded to the fact that he could be back over here, but he signed on there for another 12 months, I think, from memory. And do you reckon he'll end up riding here before he retires?
I don't know. I don't know. I've asked him that obviously a few times, but he doesn't really give much away. I wouldn't shock. Zach says, it doesn't really worry him, but there's probably a bit of a burning desire to come home, and it'd be pretty awesome if he come back here and won a Sydney Premiership or something.
It'd be the best. It'd be the best for.
Has he won it? Like,
racing.
has he won an Australian major yet? I don't.
Yeah, he won the Donny. What's he won? No, he hasn't won it.
Like, he hasn't won any of the he hasn't won any of the Victorian Cups, and or a cock. What's the two-year-old race? Golden Slipper. So it'd be. I'm sure
there's
someone
a burning desire.
I'm sure someone of his level, like, you'd love to come back home and win a Cox Plate or win a Melbourne Cup and
because
whatnot.
at the moment,
win a Ramornie.
At the moment when, like, in 20, 30 years, when people of our age, when we talk about the great Australian jockeys, I'm not sure that Zach gets a mention, just because he's not at the forefront of our minds in Australian racing.
Yeah.
Like, these Hong Kong, like, he's going to be in the first three mentioned people over there. But I'm pretty confident that there's probably some type of burning desire for him to come back here and notch up those major wins and get a Sydney Jockeys Premiership, and then we will talk about him in the same breath as James McDonald, etc.
He come home and, first season or second season won a premiership, you'd say he's probably
100%.
Like, I've rated him as one of the best I've ever seen. But
there'd be a lot of young blokes as well that get around and go to the pub on a Saturday and have a bet, and they probably haven't heard of him. Like, as weird as that is to say, unless you're a big racing fan following along in a bit of Hong Kong racing and whatnot, like, you sort of see him come over and you go, oh, Zach Purton, where's he from, kind of thing. Like,
correct.
But he deserves to, deserves to be on those $1.50 shots on the Kenzo on a Wednesday and be winning four or five races on a Saturday.
I don't think we'd see him going to Orange or anywhere like that to ride one. But I'd love to see him come home.
Well, this sort of autumn, that was...
That would have almost been a bit of
it was a bit of a taste for the Australian.
And I reckon you'd get a bit of an itch, wouldn't you? Like, you come over and you ride 2 Group 1s on a day, and I think, what did he win? A Randwick Guineas, a Canterbury Stakes and a Doncaster while he was over here. Like, you come over, you ride 3 Australian Group 1s, you're probably thinking, oh, I could probably ride.
And there was a
10
heap
in
of people,
season.
just general public, because we have a lot of general people on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Like, you'd do a post about James and it'd be like, oh, Zach's better.
Yeah.
Just because, like,
Yeah.
he's put in that.
Yeah.
They probably didn't know who Zach was prior to him coming over here and dominating. But
Who would you want riding your favourite in the Cox Plate?
for me, it's James. But like either way, I think that's.
What about Miracle Mal in his peak? VJ Mac.
James.
Oh wow!
Wow.
That'd be
No,
filthy.
just
Cut that bit out.
I think I'd be pretty happy with that. Like, I don't know. Like, I wasn't born when my dad was at the peak of his powers, so I have no doubt that he was. Well, he's spoken about as one of the.
Where would you
greats.
put, so sort of like when I was like first got that racing bug as a young fella, Lonhro was my pin-up horse. So D. Beedman was, he was the man. Where would you sort of pin him next to a James McDonald?
Beedman?
Yeah.
He's
Beedman
the
was
best
the
I've ever
most
seen.
dominant I've seen in Sydney. Like,
Yeah.
when he came back from.
If he was at the peak of his powers now, like, would he be winning a premiership over J-Mac, you reckon?
You'd think he'd be.
Yeah.
They'd be fighting out the finish, but
Yeah.
like when he came back from his religious stint, he was untouchable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he was unbelievable.
He would lift horses that he'd be good on a Marley Doon. He would. He just lifted horses. He was a freak, baby. He's just a freak.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
He rode one of our horses in like a Todman or something, a Real Saga. Won on him a couple of times.
It was a good horse, Real Saga.
Real Saga was. Yeah, I think there's a famous. Like Bart, there was a famous quote from Bart when Darren told him that he'd been told by God that he should give the game away and pursue God. Bart said, "I think you should get a second opinion."
Yeah.
I think he writes on all his audit, like signatures and stuff. That Lonhro one we've got upstairs, he's got Psalms, one of the Psalms sort of gospel scriptures on there. So it's still a big part of it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, 100%.
Yep. Good horse that we will get to see back at the races, Blake. Montefilia. We thought she might have been retired after the autumn. She didn't quite get the job done in the Tancred, but she went through the National Broodmare sale, got sold for $3.4 million. Yulong bought her, and now she's back in work. Chris Waller's got her. Is that what do you make of that, firstly? Like, if you've owned a horse that she's won 4 Group 1s, you've gone, all right, she's had enough, we'll retire her, we get the big payday at the sales as well, and then in a month or two you see her pop up, the new owners that bought her as a broodmare have sent her back into work, sent her to one of the best stables, and now she's probably going to be going, towards a Caulfield Cup Cox Plate as one of the leading chances. Are you a little bit disappointed that she's back in work, or is it just, you've cashed in and
Yeah, I guess they
that's it?
sold her. I don't think that they'd be disappointed because, like, she didn't have a bad preparation. She had a really good preparation. She should have won a Tancred Stakes.
Yep.
I think did she spell after that Tancred Stakes?
Yeah, I don't think, did she back up in the Queen Elizabeth?
I'm not sure.
No.
Maybe she did. I'm not sure. But she should have won a Tancred Stakes.
She's a good horse.
She's very good. She should have won a Caulfield. She should have went close to winning last year's Caulfield Cup. She had absolutely no luck.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't have a crack at one of those majors, especially like considering she hasn't gone off the boil or anything like that, and to put her in the Chris Waller stable.
And I'm sure the owners are happy with what they got.
Yeah, $3.4 million.
Yeah.
Be nice. Jump in. I'm not sure what they paid for her, but she's been
Wouldn't
a good
have been
mare.
that
She's
much.
a Group 1 winner. She won a Metropolitan. I'm not sure what other Group 1 she's won.
She won a Flight Stakes. She won a Spring Champion. So she won the 2 Group 1s in 7 days. Then she won a Metropolitan, and then she beat Very Elegant in a Ranvet when Very Elegant was $1.20.
So Jason Collett won on her in the
Yep.
Spring Champion. Did Bowman win the Flight on her?
Or did Jason Collett, was his first Group 1?
Might have been. I reckon.
Collett definitely rode her in the Ranvet. I think Huey might have ridden her in the other 3.
I reckon
Because I know she definitely beat Hungry Heart in the flight stakes. I know.
I reckon Huey. I reckon.
Everyone was tipping Hungry Heart, eh?
Yeah.
So I reckon Huey won on her in the flight, and then I reckon Collett took over in the Spring Champion for some
I reckon
reason.
she might have been his first Group 1. Collett. He's a good rider. Very good rider.
Yeah, very good.
Collett
rider.
won the Ranford on her. Collett won the Spring Champion on her. Bowman won the Flight on her. There you go. Bang on, Blake. And Bowman won the Metropolitan. So they were 2 each, Bowman and Collett.
2 and 2.
Yeah,
4-time Group 1
She
winner.
started, she started $5 in an ATC Oaks. She started $3.30 in an ATC Derby. Ran 4th and 5th in those races. She ran 3rd in a VRC Oaks. So she's a quality staying mare. I know she won a Metropolitan. I don't know if 2400 was her best trip.
I don't think it's a problem now.
Not now?
No,
Yeah.
no. Maybe early days.
Yeah.
Maybe early days, but
Yeah.
I think she's...
I used to
A
love her over the
genuine
mile
star.
early days where she'd just sit back and just...
Yeah. I reckon, she won on debut on the Beaumont track as a $51 shot.
Yeah.
The O to sort of go back in time and know.
They didn't know.
They didn't know. No, beat much better. Who, gee whiz, Sidearm. He goes around at Rocky on Friday. So
Gee whiz.
that says a lot, doesn't it?
Much better. It's a pretty nice horse. Like, not a nice horse, but
but-
he's a Saturday benchmark horse.
Yeah, midway horse,
Yeah. Well, probably
high
better than that.
benchmark. Yeah, better than that now. Can Waller improve Montefilia?
Well, you wouldn't think so. Like, I think David Payne's a great trainer. Like, improver. Like, maybe it wouldn't be...
She's going to be a 6-year-old man.
It wouldn't be improving her. Like, I think she's had some issues in the past. Like,
Yeah.
if Chris Waller happens to get her
Change the scenery.
and have a perfect preparation, maybe she can fulfill her potential. But I don't think it will have anything to do with changing stables. But, yeah, change of scenery would be one of the reasons why maybe she could fulfill her potential.
Yep.
And fulfilling her potential might be, like, I think she's good enough to win a major, like to win a Caulfield Cup or something like that.
Yeah.
She might get weighted out of a Caulfield Cup now. I'm not
Well,
sure. She's won a
she
Group
carried-
One.
Could resell it for $8 million.
Could. I don't think
Yeah.
you long. I don't think they're going to sell
I
it.
don't think they'll be selling her. She carried 55.5 kilos in the Caulfield Cup last year, and she ran 4th. Carried that same weight in the Melbourne Cup, where she was pretty solid in the market. But I suppose since then she hasn't won a race, but she's placed in a Tancred. She did back up in that Queen Elizabeth, and she got beat 8 lengths there.
It's okay, 56.5, something like that. If I was the handicapper.
But yeah, you're giving her a full kilo from last year.
yeah. Give her a full kilo.
Drop her back
Backer.
down to 52. I'd back her at
Good
that
idea.
with 52. What else do we have to talk about, Blake? There was
No,
a
I think
trial.
that's...
There was a trial horse from Scone.
Yeah, Scone. Yeah, that
This
was
is-
one of the big talking points of the week.
This was an interesting one. Now, a horse trialled at Musselbrook, or was the trial at Scone? The trial was at Musselbrook.
Trial was at Musselbrook, yeah.
The trial was at Musselbrook, and it was a long last coming
missed the
into the
start.
straight. Missed the start, hit the line really nicely, but it did get sort of pushed out
It
a
was
little
given
bit.
a rev up,
Yeah,
100%,
it
but
wasn't.
it did hit the line
It hit the
nicely,
line well. Won the trial. Then it's gone to Scone in a maiden. $151
Tab-
into
Tab went up
$4.80. Do you remember its name? You have to go.
Yeah, it might have been that. It got to $4.80 and then it got back out to $11. But we did a post on on our Facebook page, and it got a lot of action. And gee, that post brought out the Fruit Loops.
The Fruit Loops have come out of the woodworks for that.
They
post.
were out. They were like calling us out. They were like, "Oh, this is a trial, not a race, you idiots."
You clown.
We got
Like
called clowns.
nice tip, idiot. It's like, well, it wasn't a tip. It
Twitter's
was.
fair, really.
This was Facebook.
This was Facebook.
Racing Facebook they're a different beast.
Really?
I think racing Twitter, there can be a few vile people on racing Twitter, just a few, but I think they know what they're talking about in some sense when it comes to racing. I think racing Facebook is like, I'm not smart enough to read what the caption says, but I'll just make my 2 cents worth known, and it can be completely wrong, and they don't care. They think they're right.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the comments was like, "These are tote odds, you clowns. Nobody got 150."
Those are the poor buggers that took the 480 just to put it in a multi or something.
I can guarantee you there was a heap of people that took the 480.
My grandfather used to always say, if you don't know what you're talking about, don't have an opinion.
Yep.
I think that could apply to a lot of people on social
definitely.
media.
But this is one thing that sort of blew my mind a little bit with this plunge. All right, so Dean Watling, he's a sharp punter, trial guy. So he was the first that I sort of screen record the trial, put it on Twitter, and just say, have a go at this. This is $151 into $41 at that stage. That was
What's
about it.
Like form?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Form guy, okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
and then punters.com.au and RaceNet, they've picked it up, done a story on it. So then it's into $21, into $15. And so it wouldn't have taken much money to firm up a horse like that. I don't think anyway.
Would have took nothing.
But then anyway, but the one thing that I wanted to sort of say to you or ask you, Blake, is how, not thick, but like you're backing a horse that you've just seen a trial. The trial was fair. You go back through its form. On debut, it got around 9th of 11, beaten 10 lengths as a $41 shot. Then its next start, it gets beat 19 lengths as a 100 to 1 shot. Has one good trial, and now they've come out of the woodworks to back it. It drifted late. It was 480.
That's why the big players spread it out late, because of the SP profile and its 2 career
And that happens
starts.
so often. They get smashed in and late. They're just...
Yeah, like the big players didn't want a piece of it.
No, I put someone on Twitter said it's incredible how many people have, because if you didn't see the race, the horse turned left out of the barriers. Jean Van Overmeer came
like
off.
that text horse. Remember a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, we Calvin McAvoy horse. The name Just Serene was the horse. Yep. But yeah, so the horse lost the jockey out of the barriers, and then they come out of the woodworks and say, "Oh, it's a conspiracy. The bookies have paid the jockey to fall off." Now, I've never ridden a racehorse, but I don't think I'd want to fall off one. For starters,
If people are saying things like that, they should probably find a new sport.
Yes, they've had $5 at 50 to 1 and are salty about it. But
no, it's more like 10 at 480.
10 at 480, yeah. One at the rock bottom.
And then probably topped up when it got back out.
Yeah.
Form bowls or something might be better for them.
Yeah. But yeah, someone said it's incredible how many people are filthy about this. And I got on there and I said, yep, and you look at its form, it should have been 150 to 1. And then someone comes in, yeah, but it wasn't. It's like, well, it was. And a few sharp trial pervs have picked it up and you've had your $5 on it, rock bottom odds.
Good on them for finding it, but obviously didn't win. But
like off
and then it's gone back to the trials because it had to pass its barrier certificate. It's been beaten 6 lengths. Oh. So I think we might get 150 to 1 next start.
We'll see.
We won't be betting. Yep.
But yeah, is that about all we have to chat about? I think that was a good chat.
I think it was a good chat.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
What's
good to see Campo. From me, not much. I'll be just enjoying life. Had a good schnitzel last night.
Did you?
Missed out. Yeah, we went to the Sporting Globe. Had a snitty. I had a pint of Bolter, XPA.
Oh yeah.
And I also had a pint of.
Are you a parmi or a parma man?
I'm parmi.
Yeah, good man.
Yeah.
Parma. Yeah, I'm a parmi. Yeah, parmi. Yeah, so I had the MVP parmi. It was on sale. $17.90 down from $28.90 or something.
Just on parmies, this is how this chat can end up. It can go anywhere. Should a parmi just be as simple as ham, tomato sauce, cheese, or do you enjoy a parmi that could get adventurous? It's got avocado, hollandaise sauce, mushrooms, pepperoni.
They used to that at the Quakers, remember?
Yeah.
No good.
Some people put eggplant on it. I could probably cop that, but that's probably the extent of it.
Can you call that a parmi though? Like,
I think it is. I think that's.
Is that technically?
I think that technically could have.
What is it? What's the sauce? I want
tomato.
To say,
yeah, like a
Neapolitana.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. I was going to say
that's
Neapolitan, but then I was thinking, is that strawberry chocolate and vanilla ice cream?
I like veal schnitzel. It goes.
I like veal schnitzel too.
Yeah. That's right up there.
I'd definitely have.
What you go to after you've had a win?
I like
your dinner.
Night out.
I'd get Thai.
I was just thinking rum and cokes. I don't remember the last time I ate after a fill up. I don't mind KFC. Like, that's always good. Chinese meals, pretty nice.
Have you ever had a White Claw?
Yeah,
that's what the kids have.
I was about to say you used to love remember the rum and drafts at the Castle RSL?
Yeah,
on tap.
In
the cardboard Bundy cups.
It's the best. They were cheap. They were like $4 or something like that.
Yeah.
They used to have good. We used to go to the Yum Cha there. Maybe that's probably the best That's probably the best winning meal. Like you have the
Yum cha.
fill up on Saturday, then Sunday you go to Yum Cha.
Pub I worked at in Rocky, like we used to win like awards for the best, like during Beef Week, would win awards for best pub meal and like beef and whatnot. And so the beef cheeks and the steaks there were unreal. So after a fill up when I was back home in Rocky, that would be back to the pub that I worked at for.
That's a flashy meal, beef chips.
That is
at
a
the pub.
flashy meal. Yeah, we used to.
It was
What
it
did we
was
used to
a
get?
good feed.
Chips and gravy.
Chips and gravy.
You
Yeah,
can get chips
they used to
and
have like $9 steak and stuff. So that was pretty good.
The opposite-
That's how old we are.
You don't get that anymore.
$3 steaks or $2 steaks, I think, at the Oxford in Rocky. But it was like then $1 for your chips, like $1 for each side and $1 for gravy. But like you could get $6 for chips, gravy, onion rings,
I reckon,
mash, veggies.
I reckon the Oxford in Rocky would have been a bit different to the Oxford in Bondi.
Probably.
Oxford Street. Might be a bit different, I'm going to say.
It was in the.
We've had a few nights in Oxford Street.
It was next to the nightclubs, the old Oxford.
Yeah, well, I think that's good.
Might test out the Grafton Parmi or something.
Yeah, we might come down as well. So,
How many have you got in this weekend?
6 or 7.
Yeah, around
Saturday.
the grounds.
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
Bow Desert Saturday. Circling goes around in the cup. Couple of maideners, couple of just benchmark horses, and then Sunday as well, either Sunny Coast or Grafton as well. So
Any in town this week? On
no,
Saturday?
there was going to be one, but no, didn't accept.
I've got one at Doomben on Saturday. Mystic Aroma first up, so she's a big price, $61. I just saw.
Okay.
On a race.
She will. Yeah,
Okay.
she's been trialling very well, jumping out well.
Who trains?
Peter
Holbert?
and Will Holbert. Yep.
Yep.
So if you had 20, how would you play it on Mystic Aroma?
I'm a win punter, but I would have five a win with my double rocket boost and maybe try and get 100 to 1, and then have 15 to place.
Yeah, fat.
Holbert's a Broncos supporter.
If you had $20, if you had $20 and you're a punting man, who would you be having it on this weekend?
More horses.
Yeah.
Wait for the all-in market for the Ramornie.
I think Circling can run a big race in the Cup, but Fly With You, he ran second on the poly first up. I think he's a nice horse. He's a big, raw bugger. Come a long way, but I think if he should be winning.
Okay.
What about you,
Thank
Blake?
you.
Have you had a chance to do much?
I haven't had a look yet.
Is there anything that if you had $20 right now, are you having it on? Like, is there one horse that you could just have it on?
Well, yeah, save it for them.
Save
No, I think I own a Merkel win on Saturday.
Yep.
He's only $2.15 or something. But
Oh,
if he bounces back, well,
that's
not
about
bounce back,
$45 to have on Deep Or next
yeah, that's
Wednesday.
right. Do the all up.
Got to get you into some more horses. Got to spend some of that money you've got.
Well, we gotta get some more money. That's it.
Watch this space.
Watch this space. Thanks, punters. Have a great week. Hopefully, you're back plenty of winners.
Good luck in the Ramornie, Campo. We won't see you before then, I don't think. You won't be back in here.
Nope.
We'll see you after you win the Ramornie. Just
How big? What sort of trophy is the Ramornie? Have you seen that? Like, is it a cup that we can drink out of?
Hopefully.
Just bring. Make sure next time you're in here and you win the Ramornie, just like some prawns, oysters,
Put some prawns in the cup.
Chicken parmi.
prawns.
Palmies in the cup.
Yeah, that's right. All right, punters.
Nice.
Good note to end. Have a great week.
Good luck.
They go toe to toe.